Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Mike's vlog. And I hope you guys enjoy this one because it's going to be a couple weeks before we have another one. He's going to do vacation, he's going to move, and he'll be at a new gym and everything. And I'm hoping he'll be able to continue and he'll be able to film and everything. But we'll see how it goes. But let's hope that he can. It'll be nice if he can, and if not, then you guys got a lot of footage. You guys see how I train my more advanced lifters who have access to a lot of equipment, and I think it will help a lot of you guys. But we started this off with a bench press against mini bands. He's cutting, by the way. He's down over 20 pounds in his cut. All right, it's over 20 pounds in his cut, yet he's still got 315 with mini bands. Good training max, nice good pause. And then we went over and we're doing some floor presses. Now I want Mike to work on triceps a little more because we got his chest and everything so strong that his chest is not a weak link right now on his benching. Right, as you guys notice right there, even when he got fatigued on that set of floor presses, it's right near the lockout. Right, it's right near the lockout, even with a wider grip. And we're seeing that with a lot of his pressing at the moment. And he used to be weak in the pecs. His pecs used to limit his bench, and that's why he couldn't really get past 300. And we got him up to, 350 at his biggest in the bulk. Now, he's lost 20 pounds, over 20 pounds, actually. I think like 21 or so at this point. He's, down under 210, finally. Getting him towards 200. And that was kind of the goal. We want to get down to 200 pounds. And he's going to take a diet break and everything while he's doing his vacation. He's going to be training this coming week, but I don't know if we'll get enough footage for a vlog. But we did floor presses, we did JM presses. You guys know I love that combination on my max effort days. You see me do it sometimes, but we don't do it all the time. So we're going to do for him at the moment. Then of course he did some pull-ups and more tricep work. And I don't have Mike focusing as much on delts. I don't feel like delts are limiting him that much at the moment, right? For a while, we were doing some extra delt work. We were doing seated dumbbell presses and things like that. And of course, you guys have seen him do some snatch grip high pulls and other stuff in the past in older vlogs. So, we don't neglect shoulders. We just look at, where do we need the muscle? Where's the most bang for our buck? Keeping in mind, drug-free lifter on a cut. We don't have unlimited recovery resources here. Okay, we really don't. So we really have to pick and choose where we want to put those efforts. And I feel like right now I'd like to spend a little time beefing those triceps back up. And then, we'll reassess where his benching is. Deadlifting, low back is still weak. Look at that. Now, I think he's got the math wrong on these bands. I don't think these bands are measuring what he thinks they are in that setup. I think they're heavier. But that aside, if you guys notice that he's still stuck just below the knee and he managed to get through the lockout okay. All right? And he's fast off the floor because he's got quads. So kind of what we're seeing happening there is really that case of his low back. We just have to get his low back stronger. It's certainly not his legs. He's got a pretty strong back at this point, right? Look at those seal rows. But he's got shorter arms, which is why he's good at the bench. And really just his erectors and stuff at the moment really seem to be limiting. Although a lot of these movements are going up. He's getting better at good mornings again. He's getting better at the reverse hypers. So that will slowly help over time. But deadlift has been the hardest thing for Mike. He's got a great bench. He's got a great squat. His deadlift has always been mediocre. And it used to be worse. Like we fought for every pound on his deadlift. And again, I've got to keep him on a reverse hyper and stuff. And if anything, I may need to keep dedicating more of his recovery resources towards his low back. It's kind of like I'm wanting to pull quad work and stuff out and not care about it. Because quite frankly, his quads don't limit him. He can squat almost as much as he deadlifts. It's like 10 pounds apart at this point, for a true back squat. And he's even got big box squats. He's box squatting up into the 400s with a nice pause below parallel. So really that's what's going on. His quads are just not limiting us. They don't need a lot of extra attention if they're not going to be the limit. He's got massive quads. And it's still not carrying over to his deadlift. And quads do matter. So on this day, we're doing seal rows. All right, he's doing seal rows. He's doing safety bar good mornings. We are doing reverse hyperextensions and glute ham raises. Now here's the thing with the GHR. His hamstrings are pretty strong too. Notice he's doing these weighted. Right? He can hang with me on hamstring work. I can out good morning him. I can out reverse hyper him. So when we start looking at the differences in the deadlift, what's limiting him? Look at the size of his quads. It's not his quads. Those quads could easily support a 600 plus deadlift for the quads part. Look at what he can do on the reverse hyper. Look at the size of the hamstrings. So what movements is he deficient on? Compare him to me. And this is where it gets, you can look at your different lifters. I can good morning him into the ground if I have to. Got him beat on the reverse hypers, although he's getting stronger and stronger at those. What's interesting to me, though, is that even though those are getting, that's getting stronger, I'm still not seeing the deadlift really get big yet. So I'm almost wondering if I'm going to need to do some assistance work for the neural side of it. Or are we going to have to do some heavier speed pulls and things, right? Heavier speed pulls against bands or chains and focus more on the conventional to get him through those sticking points. And that might be what we need to do when he gets to the new gym. I might need to rotate sumo out of the rotation completely, run heavier speed pulls. It very well might be what we need to do just to get that deadlift up. Speed benching, we went back to bands this week. He did a wave with chains. Now we're back to running bands. So we do speed bench. I've got him doing some floor pressing. Mainly because, again, we do want to keep the chest work and stuff in for now. But, again, only because we're running those really light percentages on the speed work, we have more recovery. If we run heavier weights like I'm doing now, our recovery on the speed days gets, a little different because our training stimulus is different. But we do floor presses at the moment. And it's pretty much the same rotation. He does JM presses, we do pull-ups, we do band press downs. And I really like to run that combination of doing band work behind the JM presses. And the reason for that is the tendon health. Right? The JM press is an absolute beast for building big, strong triceps, but it's hard on your tendons. And it can be brutal on your tendons. In fact, if you try to get too strong at this movement too quickly and you haven't taken the time to hypertrophy those tendons around the elbows, what happens? You start getting tendonitis from this movement. You start getting pain in your day-to-day life from this movement. The band work helps offset that. And as you guys know, it is, for me, something I use as a rehab for people with elbow tendonitis, but it's also something we use for prehab. So in the case of Mike, for example, we'll do the bands to do that. And if he does run into a problem with JM presses, we go over to bands, reverse bands, chains, whatever we need to do on the JM. And that's something I learned from my friend Clint Darden quite a few years ago, who, again, did coach at Westside. And he and I are friends. We've stayed friends for like a decade. Good guy. He gave me that advice once. Quite some time back. Just try it. Your guys who are having some elbow issues from the JM presses, try doing them with reverse bands. And it does work. And Mike has used that. He has used that. All right, dynamic effort lower day. We did safety bar against boxes with heavy bands. And then we did conventional deadlift with heavy bands. And then we went into our normal rotation of we do seal rows. And I'm keeping Mike's back work really, really high still at the moment. I want to make sure none of that atrophies. We could argue it might be a lot on his cut. We could probably scale some of it back. Right? We could scale some of it back and we'd be okay. Then he's doing belt squats. And like I said, we may be pulling the belt squats coming up for a bit. And I don't know if the new gym he's going to be at is going to have belt squats or if we're stuck with a leg press or a hack squat. But we've used all of those in the past for him. Right? Just this current gym he has does have access to one again, so we've been using it. But, previously I've had him at his other gym before doing hack squats. We've done leg presses. And I may have put up a video clip of him at one time in between these vlogs of doing the really heavy hack squats. But like I've said, again, we're at a point where quads are not really limiting him in any way. They're really not. So I'm not as worried about those. I'm really more concerned with posterior chain, glutes, erectors, things like that at this point for Mike. So after those, he goes over to, once again, good mornings with the safety bar. And he's getting respectable at these. He's got 2 plates on now for his work sets. So we're getting up there, especially on a safety bar. All right, he's no slouch on him. Which is, again, one reason as a coach I get frustrated that his deadlift doesn't go up faster. Because by all indications, it really should. It should be climbing quicker than it is. Although keeping in mind he is cutting. So it does make it a different beast. But I do feel like next time he starts eating again, as we've continued to build up these weaker links further, I'm hoping to really see that deadlift climb. But at this point, we're going to have to specialize in it for him because it's the one lift that lags so far behind, and it's going to need, special attention at a certain point if he just wants to be stronger all the way around. Because like I said, it is his weakest link. He can bench, he can squat. And again, we finish up though with the same exercises that we normally do for him, and that's the glute ham raise and the reverse hyper. And that's pretty common, as you guys know, from vlog after vlog after vlog. Any of my advanced lifters who have access to both of these tools, we tend to use them at least once, if not twice a week. And you guys can watch as we finish up here on the reverse hyper extensions. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.